In the 60s, Mexico City would be the season-ending race. That's no longer the case, but it is always a party in these parts. Welcome to the Mexico City Grand Prix. Over 2,000 metres above sea level, the altitude will test the driver's fitness and their engine's efficiency. 17 corners across a 2.6-mile circuit, expect incredible speeds in excess of 215 miles per hour and overtaking into the braking zones of Turn 1 and Turn 4. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Richards lines up on pole position, and it's Esteban Ocon in P2. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Russell, Oscar Piastri, Verstappen, Leclerc, Gasly, Albon, Sainz, Doohan, Liam Lawson, Norris, Hauger, Teo Porcher, Sargent, Perez, Joe, Tsunoda, Ricciardo, Bottas, Magnussen, and Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. And here, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about Richards. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
It's been a really solid year so far. There have been some incredible standout performances, but what's really impressed me has been the consistency. With this kind of form, I'm expecting another great race today.
Okay, so everything looks good on the power unit cycles, so let's concentrate on bringing tyres and brakes up to temperature. Okay, copy that. Got that, confirmed. Okay, incredible parking there, nice one. That's going to give you the edge if you can get a good launch as the race starts. Okay, so that's the rest of the grid forming up now. Be patient and watch for those lights. Icons behind you. They're on fresh mediums. They're in 15th. Okay, Russell's behind you now. Okay, the gap behind is 1.2 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. Their tyres are just 1 lap old. Okay, we think they've got at least 3 more stops. Your last lap time was a 1:26.8. Right, we have 2 stops left in this strategy, 2 more stops planned. Your pit window doesn't open for more than 20 laps. Gap to your teammate behind is 10.1 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. They're in 15th. Time last lap was a 1:34.3. Got a lot of spare energy, okay to use your overtake button. Russell behind, and the gap behind us is 1.7 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. Their tyres are 3 laps old. Okay, we think they've got at least 3 more stops. And the time last lap was a 1:22.9. Okay, Russell's behind you now. We're leading the car behind by 1.5 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. Their tyres are 5 laps old. Okay, we think they've got at least 3 more stops. Your last lap time was a 1 minute 23.0. Great work, that's a new fastest lap of the race. You've got 2 stops remaining now, 2 stops remaining in this strategy. You've got 18 laps until your pit window opens. Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 13.0 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. Time last lap was a 1:23.3. They're 8th. Okay, so the gap is 7.3 seconds. And the time last lap was a 1 minute 23.3. Russell behind. Okay, gap to the car behind. 1.1 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. Okay, their tyres are 7 laps old. Okay, we think they've got at least 3 more stops. Your last lap time was a 1:22.9. Confirmed. Copy. Conditions look stable at the moment, no rain currently expected. Dries definitely seem like the fastest tyre at the moment. Say that again, we're having trouble receiving you. You're leading the pack, that's P1. Okay, Russell's behind you now. Okay, car behind trailing us, 1.7 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. Gap to your teammate behind is 0.5 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. Time last lap was a 1 minute 23.9. Russell behind. Okay, push, push. Gap to the car behind. 1.2 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. Their tyres are 12 laps old. Okay, we think they've got at least 3 more stops. And the time last lap was a 1:23.3. Okay, the static over the radio. Say it again. Okay, Russell's behind you now. Okay, so the gap to the car behind is 1.6 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. Okay, we think they've got at least 3 more stops. Your last lap time was a 1 minute 23.0. Okay, 2 stops left now, 2 stops. You've got 10 laps until your pit window opens. Pit window opens in 10 laps. Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 19.2 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. Time last lap was a 1:24.4. Behind is 2.3 seconds. Copy that. No need to worry about the tyre condition for now, everything's looking good. Right, we have 2 stops left in this strategy, 2 more stops planned. Your pit window will be open in 7 laps' time. Ocon behind. Okay, the gap behind is 2.7 seconds. They're on old mediums. Their tyres are 19 laps old. Okay, we think they've got 2 stops remaining. 2 stops remaining. And the time last lap was 1 minute 23.5. And the gap behind us is 2.8 seconds. Understood, copy that. Gap to your teammate behind is 23.4 seconds. They're on old mediums. They're in 10th place. Your last lap time was 1:24.0. Ocon's behind you. We're leading the car behind by 3.5 seconds. They're on old mediums. They've done 21 laps on those tyres. Okay, we think they've got 2 stops remaining. 2 stops remaining. The time last lap was a 1 minute 23.8. Approaching the pit window and you're going to be on mediums. Okay, copy that. Got that, confirmed. Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 24.6 seconds. They're on old mediums, and the time last lap was a 1:23.3. Ocon behind. Okay, gap to the car behind. 3.2 seconds. They're on old mediums. Their tyres are 23 laps old. Okay, we think they've got 2 stops remaining. 2 stops remaining. Your last lap time was a 1 minute 23.8. Box this lap, push hard on the in-lap. Confirmed. Copy. Jack's in the pits. Jack in the pits. Repeat that, I've got some interference here. Okay, car behind trailing us, 3.6 seconds.
Looks like the pit crew are out in the lane and ready to perform their magic on the car. They're going to be aiming to achieve the fastest pit stop time possible.
Okay, stay clear of the white line on the exit. We'll receive a penalty for dangerous driving if you cross onto the track. Fourth position, you're in fourth position. Science ahead. Okay, the gap is less than a second. Okay, they're on old softs. That's Albon behind you. Less than a second separates you. Okay, they're on old softs. Our gap to first place is 4.2 seconds. Your pit window doesn't open for more than 20 laps. And that's 46 laps to go. Got a lot of spare energy, okay to use your overtake button. Russell's ahead of you now. Our gap to the car in front is 2.9 seconds. They're on fresh softs. Okay, their tyres are 7 laps old. Okay, we think they've got 2 stops remaining. Time last lap was a 1:22.1. Okay, push, gap to the car behind, 2.6 seconds. That was the fastest lap of the race so far. Gap to your teammate behind is 25.7 seconds. first position, front of the pack. Russell behind. Okay, so the gap to the car behind is 1.3 seconds. They're on fresh softs. Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 27.8 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. And the time last lap was a 1 minute 22.6. You only have to stop once now, one stop left, and that's 20 laps until your pit window's open. Okay, Russell's behind you now. Our gap behind is 1.9 seconds. Their tyres are 11 laps old now. Okay, we think they've got 2 stops remaining. 2 stops remaining. Your last lap time was a 1:22.8. Copy that. Russell behind. Okay, the gap behind is 4.5 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. Okay, we think they've got 2 stops remaining. 2 stops remaining. Time last lap was a 1 minute 22.7. Didn't receive that. Repeat the message. Repeat the message. Gap to your teammate behind is 33.9 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. They're in 11th. And the time last lap was a 1:22.2. Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 33.8 seconds. Russell's behind you now, and the gap behind us is 7.0 seconds. Pit window opens in 12 laps time. 12 laps. 34 laps to go. We've got 44 laps of fuel left. Gap to your teammate behind is 35.5 seconds. Ocon's behind you. We're leading the car behind by 8.4 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. Their tyres are 13 laps old. We think they've got one more stop. Your last lap time was a 1 minute 22.7. First position, front of the pack, Ocon behind. Okay, gap to the car behind, 9.2 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. You've got 10 laps until your pit window opens. Pit window opens in 10 laps. Okay, 32 laps to go. That's P1. Ocon's behind you. Okay, car behind trailing us. 10.2 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. Your pit window opens in 8 laps time. Okay, 30 laps till the end now. Okay, 40 laps of fuel left. Let's use overtake and burn off some of this energy. Ocon behind. Okay, push, push. Gap to the car behind. 10.0 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. We think they've got one more stop. Time last lap was a 1:22.9. Please repeat, you're breaking up. Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 37.1 seconds. They're on old mediums. They're in 9th place. And the time last lap was a 1:23.5. position. Caution. Okay, clear. Ocon's behind you. Okay, so the gap to the car behind is 9.7 seconds. They're on old mediums. Their tyres are 20 laps old. We think they've got one more stop. Your last lap time was a 1:23.3. I didn't catch that, mate. Just say it again. Okay, one stop to go. Just one stop left in your strategy. You've got 4 laps until your pit window opens. Say that again, we're having trouble receiving you. You're in first position, front of the pack. Ocon behind. Our gap behind is 9.2 seconds. They're on old mediums. Your pit window is going to open in 3 laps time. Pit window opens in 3 laps. Okay, you've got 25 laps to go. Okay, we're approaching the pit window. You're going to be on stop. Tyre condition still looking good. Understood, copy that. Ocon's behind you. Okay, the gap behind is 7.9 seconds. They're on old mediums. Okay, they've done 22 laps on those tyres. We think they've got one more stop. Time last lap was a 1:23.3, 0.4 seconds. Okay, the static over the radio. Say it again. Gap to your teammate behind is 37.3 seconds. They're on old mediums. They're currently 6th. And the time last lap was a 1:23.4. Jack's coming into his stop now. Okay, the pit window's open, so let's box this lap, box this lap. Okay, copy that. Ocon behind, and the gap behind us is 6.5 seconds. They're on old mediums. Their tyres are 24 laps old. We think they've got one more stop. Your last lap time was a 1 minute 23.4. Confirmed, we'll receive you at the end of this lap. Use your overtake button more. It's time to utilise some of this energy. Come on. Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now. Okay, you're sat in P2. That's Russell just ahead. Push for the position. Okay, they're on old softs. Ocon's behind you. We're leading the car behind by 6.3 seconds. Okay, they're on fresh hards. Look after these tyres now. We want to finish the race on this compound. 21 laps to go. Okay, roger that. Soft tyres at the next pit stop. Okay, Russell's ahead. Okay, gap ahead is 5.4 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. We think they've got one more stop. Time last lap was a 1:22.4. managing your tyres, manage your tyres. You're leading the pack, that's P1. Russell behind. Okay, gap to the car behind. Car behind, 1.6 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. That was our last stop. No more scheduled pit stops. Let's go. Okay, 18 laps to go. And that's 26 laps of fuel remaining. Ocon behind. Okay, car behind trailing us, 12.1 seconds. Okay, they're on fresh hards. Okay, they've got 4 laps on their tyres, and the time last lap was a 1 minute 22.3. Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 40.9 seconds. They're on fresh softs. They're in 10th place. Your last lap time was a 1:21.7. Someone's come off ahead of you. There's a yellow flag ahead. Green flag. Ocon's behind you. Okay, push, gap to the car behind. 13.3 seconds. Okay, they're on fresh hards. Their tyres are 5 laps old. Time last lap was a 1 minute 22.2. Gap to your teammate behind is 41.8 seconds. They're currently 5th, and the gap is 27.8 seconds. And the time last lap was a 1:21.5. You're in first position, front of the pack. Ocon behind. Okay, so the gap to the car behind is 0.6 seconds. Okay, they're on fresh hards. Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now. Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 43.2 seconds. They're on fresh softs. They're in 9th place. The last lap time was a 1 minute 22.6. You're leading the pack, that's P1. Ocon's behind you. Our gap behind is 16.3 seconds. Okay, they're on fresh hards. Look after these tyres now. We want to finish the race on this compound. Okay, we've got 21 laps of fuel left. 21 laps. Ocon behind. Okay, the gap behind is 18.3 seconds. Okay, they're on fresh hards. Their tyres are 8 laps old. Time last lap was a 1:22.4. First position, front of the pack. Ocon's behind you, and the gap behind us is 20.0 seconds. Okay, they're on fresh hards. That was our last stop. No more scheduled pit stops. Let's go. Okay, we're into the last 10 laps now. No tyre concerns at the moment, just focus on the driving. Gap to your teammate behind is 48.9 seconds. Got that confirmed. Ocon behind. We're leading the car behind by 21.4 seconds. Okay, they're on fresh hards. Their tyres are 11 laps old now. And the time last lap was a 1 minute 22.4. Okay, roger that. Soft tyres at the next pit stop. Understood. Stopping this lap. Ocon ahead. Okay, they're on fresh hards. Their tyres are 13 laps old. Your last lap time was a 1:22.2. Second place, you're in second place. Ocon is ahead of you. Okay, the gap is less than a second. Okay, they're on fresh hards. Okay, Russell's behind you now. Okay, gap to the car behind. Car behind, 2.0 seconds. They're on fresh softs. Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now, and that's 8 laps to go. Okay, roger that. Soft tyres at the next pit stop. Repeat that, I've got some interference here. Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 32.9 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. They're in 9th place. Time last lap was a 1 minute 22.8. You're leading the pack, that's P1. Ocon's behind you. Okay, car behind trailing us, 5.8 seconds. Okay, they're on fresh hards. Look after these tyres now. We want to finish the race on this compound. Okay, just 5 laps until the end. Okay, we've got 12 laps of fuel remaining. Ocon behind. Okay, push, gap to the car behind. 7.2 seconds. Okay, they're on fresh hards. Their tyres are 17 laps old, and the time last lap was a 1:22.6. received that. Repeat the message, repeat the message. Okay, no issues with tyre wear for now. Keep taking care of them. Gap to your teammate behind is 43.4 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. They're in 9th place. Your last lap time was a 1 minute 23.0. First position, front of the pack. Russell behind. Okay, so the gap to the car behind is 13.0 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. Okay, mate, final lap. Keep your concentration and let's bring it home. Okay, Russell's behind you now. Our gap behind is 13.4 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. Their tyres are 16 laps old. Time last lap was a 1:21.6.
It's certainly been an incredible year for Formula One, and our drivers have pushed themselves this season, making it one of the most compelling years of racing in history. There can only be one champion, however, and here they are now, our new Formula One World Drivers' Champion. That's a spectacular victory then, and with it, the championship is secure. It's been a magnificent season, and they thoroughly deserve the cheers of the crowd here today. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
Welcome then to the podium, our top three drivers. What a great effort from them today in a very difficult race. So let's review the drivers' standings. We also crown a champion today, as their lead at the top is now an insurmountable one. What a great year it's been for Formula One. Let's focus on driver of the day, Anthony Davidson. Who do you pick?
I have to give it to Richards.
Let's move on to the constructors. The owner-drivers team moved to the top of the table. Well, that certainly was an exciting weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for more exciting Formula One action very soon.